Welcome to the Centaur Podcast. I'm Cameron Adibi, and together we will explore the fascinating world of horse-human communication and the extraordinary connections they develop between our species. Join me as we delve into the unique ways humans and horses connect and understand each other. Through discussions with true innovators, we uncover the subtle cues, bonding techniques, and emotional connections that enrich our relationships with these remarkable animals. Whether you are a seasoned equestrian or simply curious about the language of horses, there's something here for everyone. Mia Lykke Nielsen is the founder of When Horses Choose, an innovative training program that adopts the language and behavior of a lead horse. I met Mia when she was in New England offering clinics. By luck, one could say. Hunter and I got to do a clinic with her, and man, did it open our eyes. It was awesome. Mia invites the horse to follow her as a leader, and it only achieves that because it's up to the horse to make the decision. There's no need for pushing or coaxing. She reads horses just like people read a book. She's walked with them for years through scorched wilderness and slippery mountain slopes. She sleeps in the barn with them when they are sick, offers the kinship of a herd when they are lonely. She takes care of them when everyone else has given up. She is based in Denmark and offers workshops in the United States and around the world. Sit back and enjoy the show. Mia, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me today. So exciting. I got to meet you briefly last fall. You helped me out with Hunter. He's doing great, by the way.
I'm
Thank you.
see.
Yeah, so having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Um, and you're right now in Denmark, so it's late night. I can see. So you're getting, but so thanks for taking your time to do this. But um, I got to ask your name because I have relatives in Denmark, and I've been there just once, and I had a phenomenal trip. Um, and your middle name, if I can pronounce it right, Lykke,
Lykke.
Lykke. So in English translation, it's lucky happiness, right?
Yes.
But it's
Joy,
deeper. It's a deeper translation in the Danish. Isn't that right?
joy and happiness.
Joy
Lykke.
and yeah, it's like hygge is like that too.
No, it's not. Hygge is more cozy.
Okay, all right.
That's a Danish thing, coziness.
All
Yeah.
right. Do you
So you
think
get
that
the- Hmm?
yeah, it's a beautiful. So do you feel that in your life?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. Yeah,
Uh,
because
uh
I love what I do.
it shows. I just had to point that out in your name because that it's not a straight translation
No,
in English.
no.
But so I read a little bit about your background, and so at 17, I mean, young person, you went to California to work with these
Yeah.
300 wild Icelandic horses. It sounds like this is really where it's all started.
Yeah.
What are some of those memories? Like that sounds like a very rich period of your life. What are some memories you still carry from that period?
Well, if you ask me to go to my happy place or the best memories of my life, I close my eyes and I'm out on that 1,000 acres piece of land walking with 360 something wild Icelandic horses. Mm.
That's incredible. And 17 years old. I mean, that was very brave, by the way, too. I mean, but you knew your vision, you knew your purpose. It sounds like pretty early.
Yeah, well, I grew up with animals and I always felt this deep love for all animals. We had them in our house like family members, dogs and cats and a goose. And since I was a kid, I wanted to work with animals.
Uh,
And in the age of 5, I started riding. I met a horse and I wanted to ride. So I fell in love. And I went to riding schools in Denmark, traditional riding schools. And it kind of broke my heart because I was there to get a connection and a true relationship with a horse, and I didn't achieve it because in riding schools it was all about getting the horse to move from here to there to achieve this result, and it was not about the connection and learning their language or understanding their behavior. So I kept seeking that. But nevertheless, I kept going to these riding schools to learn how to ride in a traditional way because that was all I knew. until I reached the age of like 12. Because it was like the better I became in riding, the more equipment I had to use. And in the end, they had me using spurs and, of course, the bits and whips and to do the jumping and to do traditional dressage. And I had this episode in a riding school where some of the other girls, we had these plastic spurs you could buy in different colors. They took them home in a pencil sharpener. And then they used them on the horse. And one girl kicked the horse, and then it got stuck in between the rib, and the blood ran. And the riding teacher was like yelling and saying now they couldn't participate next Wednesday. That was the punishment. And after that, I stopped going to these riding schools because it was too far away from what I felt was right. Often I went home with a bad feeling that I didn't do anything good for that horse that day. So then I searched to have my own horse and I couldn't. So I got to lease a horse and have it as my own in the age of like 12 or 13. And that was a big, big draft horse, huge and strong. And and I had it like my own and I loved him. His name was Thor and he was amazing. And I had a lot of great rides, but I never was his lead horse because if we came to like a crossway and I wanted to go this way and he wanted to go that way, we ended up often going his way because he had learned that he was so much stronger. So even though I rode with a bit, he taught me a deep lesson that we can never muscle fight with a horse. They will always win the fight. And I still had him for some years until I was like 16. Then they sold him. And I begged my parents and I couldn't have him.
Mm.
So they decided to sell him. I was the only one riding him. And that broke my heart. So I didn't know what to do. And I went to a farming school in Denmark to learn to become an animal keeper because I knew I did not want to become a riding teacher. But there I saw all the traditional farming and I became a vegetarian.
Mm.
And I thought I'm not going to work with animals. So then, then I went to a holiday for Greece with a friend to Rhodes, and then I decided I'm going to stay here. And I was just 17, and
Wow.
I called my parents and said I'm not going to come home. I got a job, and I'm going to work on the beach, and I'm going to stay here. And my mom said, "You are going to come home." I said, "No, I'm not, because I don't know what to do with my life. I lost my horse. I was in a big sorrow, and I didn't know what to do of education." And then my family kind of panicked and said, "Oh, we can't have Mia being in Greece by herself in the age of just 17." And then they found an ad in the Danish newspaper that this lady in California was looking for a student to come and learn something about natural horsemanship. And they did the whole application and they called me up and said, "Hey, don't you want to go to California instead?" And then I did. Yeah.
Incredible. That's an
That
incredible
was,
story. That's a
yeah.
good one.
Mhm.
And your parents, that's awesome. Your parents were there for help. They saw the vision. They
My sister, they were all like, we need something else to happen because, yeah, they
that's
would rather have me living with this lady in California who was originally Danish and who immigrated and had all these Icelandics. Yeah, was a much more safe solution.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
exact. Yeah.
and it changed my life.
That's I kind of picture it, but it's just I don't think I'll be. It's one of those rare experiences somebody gets to experience in life. Like how many people get to do that?
Yeah, it's
But
amazing.
well, that sounds absolutely amazing. So then, of course, now you are here. Now you have your own program, When Horses Choose.
Hmm.
You've developed these principles now, and this meth and this training and this real incredible, sophisticated um, t- teaching, education for really for humans, but for horses,
Hmm.
you do the rehab. But so I was reading your website about the five pillars, and
Hmm.
um, it's really interesting because language. I'm very interested in language, and here we are speaking. I'm your original language Danish. I'm English speaking language, but we're talking that there are three principles. Top three principles. There are no stupid horses.
Hmm.
there are no devious horses, and there are no problem horses among wild horses. I love those three because that three immediately are challenging how we think
Hmm.
about them. And so my question is, how do we change the language we use when we talk about horses? I mean, I still at the barn hear, oh, that's a mischievous horse, or that's a tricky horse, or that's a sneaky horse, or, we put the human label on the
Hmm.
horse.
Yes, we do.
Like they're stupid, they're devious.
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, it seems like that's a big part of how do we work with the language that we
Mm.
use when we talk about them?
We have to forget about using our language because we are that intelligent that we have to learn the language of the horses. And it's very simple. And they communicate all the time. All the time. They speak to us all the time. So, what we really have to do is open up our hearts and open up our eyes and begin to watch the horses communicate and speak. Um, and then everything becomes simple. You see, I work with the horses free because I studied them and I learned their language and their behavior. I got this big chance to live with them, and I stayed with them for 3.5 years, walking with them and studying them in their wild. And they communicate all the time with each other, and they have this hierarchy, and they have families and strong connections. And we people, we can connect with them as horses if we use the horses language. And this is what I do with my method. I step into the shoes of another horse, of a strong horse that the horses that I work with can lean upon and feel safe around. And all that horses are looking for is actually being a part of the herd and feeling safe and joy and harmony. So we can use that. But people's biggest challenge is that we have fear. We're so fearful. So we think that in order to control a horse, we need a bit and we need strong equipment and we have to have control. But we're never going to achieve this great control until we learn to let go of it. And that's how it really is. Because no matter how many bits we use, no matter how strong equipment we use, the horses, they have instincts. And the second they get really scared, then we can't hold them. But if we achieve this status as their herd member, as the stronger horse they lean up against, then they will never run away. Then they will stop if they get scared and seek us for feeling safe. We become their safe place. Hmm.
Ah, that's so cool. And so I mentioned Hunter, so I got to meet you thanks to my friend Veronica. And within, I don't know, like 30, 40 minutes, I was riding him, thanks to you, with Bitless and
Mhm.
just our Cordeo.
Yeah.
That's it. That was in 45 minutes, and I never had done that before.
No.
So this is incredible that, you have this gift. And he responded so well to that, right? Because this is an old school horse that was just beaten down. I found him, just kind of just checked out. He was a forgotten horse in the back paddock
Yeah.
because he had back, still working on the rehab, but the back pain, and he was throwing riders off.
Mm.
And you just showed him, and I got to experience it a new way, a language that he appreciated.
Mhm.
So I also you're not only your 12 principles I love, but your five pillars. And the five pillars, there's so much to add, so many questions to win those with it. But the first one is freedom. So no, really, you're starting with nothing, no equipment, right? That's how you
Yeah.
start the conversation with no equipment,
Always.
and that,
Because the problem with equipment is when we take it off, they're free to speak. I feel if I meet a horse, you could bring me any horse with a bit and a saddle on and say, will you take a ride? And I would say, no, I don't dare to. Because I don't know
yeah.
what's in this horse. I can't hear it. I'm deaf and blind. I have to start working with any horse without any equipment. Then they're free to speak. Then I can ask the horse, can I touch you? and they can leave and say, no, I'm too fearful. Okay, so you have lack of trust. Let's work on that. Or I can say, can I touch you all over? Then you're safe. Can I touch your ears? Can I touch your hind? Then I can be around you. Can I also lie on you? Can I ride you? I don't want to ride on a horse that doesn't want to be ridden. And I do believe, and I have experienced through my 30 years of being a horse trainer, that horses can choose. They can say, yes, I want to walk with you. And then that choice, they will walk with me tomorrow, on the next day, and the day that comes after that, and forever. I can ask them freely, do you want to trot with me? If they take that decision and trot with me, then it's a forever choice. If I ask them freely, can I ride you, sit on your back? Then they will never kick me off, because they have chosen, they're part of the process. They're saying yes. And sometimes they say no in the beginning when I ask them. And then there's a reason for that. Then they don't have enough trust, or they have bad experiences that we have to remove first in order for them to trust again and to allow it. But when they have chosen freely to have a rider on and to listen and to communicate through soft signals, then it's a forever choice. Then that makes me safe. Then I know I can ride them with any equipment. Equipment doesn't make me feel safe. But when a
It,
horse chooses to work with me, that makes me feel safe.
I think that ties into, personally, it ties into the fear that we have, that we
Yeah,
need the equipment because it leaves us exposed.
yeah.
And you really have to, like, it really shows where you need more work as a human. But this, so
Yeah.
yeah, you just made me think. A friend of mine just called me this morning, wants to go buy a horse, and like, well, that sounds great. Good luck. But this is where we should. This is where she should start.
Yeah.
This is like she's going to try riding a horse probably, but it's like this is the place to start.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, the most people that want to buy horses, like, well, let's get on the back and see how it moves. But yeah, this is, it's kind of, I mean, unfortunately, it's still kind of revolutionary. But the other principle you have, pillar, excuse me, one of the second pillar is the safe haven, which you already just mentioned.
Mhm.
And you mentioned, like in the wild, I love this because, this is where you got a lot of your initiation. The herd pushes the the horse like 10 steps away,
Mhm.
or the leader, I guess, pushes.
Something. You see, people have this idea that we have to chase the horse or do all these things. I never do that. I don't really want to awaken the fear in them. And when I worked with the wild horses and I studied them, I never saw one horse chase the other horse around and around the whole territory. I didn't see that. This was herds living in small different herds in the same big area. And if one horse was making noise in a herd or was not acting the way it should, the lead horse would kind of pin its ears, take his head forward, and send the other horse out of the herd. Just like a few steps. Now you're out. And all the horses in the little herd would ignore it. And this horse was sent out, would kind of wander around, maybe eat grass, act like it didn't care, or maybe run a little bit more. But at one point, it would lower its head, put the ear back, and begin to lick and chew. Show submissive signals, show that, okay, I'm ready to come back. And then it's allowed back in. I never really saw fighting. I just saw this, get out of
Mm,
the herd, outside. So this is what we can use. I never chase a horse, but I say, this is my territory. Join me. And if you don't, then go down there.
mhm,
Not to send them away to be afraid, but to give them a safe haven, a place where they can go if they need to say no,
mhm,
a place where they can feel safe, and I remove all pressure.
mhm,
And they understand this. All horses I've worked with understand this within seconds.
mm,
So maybe I say, you are free. I have a free horse. Can I touch you all over? Yes. Okay, great. Will you walk with me? No. Okay. As long as it stays with me, it stays with me. But if it leaves me, I'd say, okay, it's my territory. You go down there, this end. Yeah.
mhm.
And then they understand. Then I can go and get it and say, you want to walk with me now? No, they can stay in the corner. Fine. I will wait. Just sit and wait. or
Mm.
stand and wait until the horse turns around to connect. Then I will go approach it. Ask again, you want to walk with me? Yes. Now the horse is walking freely with me. Then I will ask, do you want to trot? And the horse turns around and runs to the safe haven. Say, no, I don't. So they get a language, and it becomes clear for everyone to see, hey, the horse has ability to say yes and no clearly. And I can use that in all of my training. So I can ask the horse, communicate, and the horse learns instantly that it has the right to say no. And if it has that, I don't need to force the horse to do anything. I can just ask them freely. And
You
this is also like therapy for horses and re-traumatizing, because if a horse has a lot of bad experiences from the past, which a lot of horses unfortunately have, then they will say no to riding or say no to following a human free, because what I'm asking them to do is putting their life in my hands, following me, letting me be the lead, letting me be their eyes, and this can be hard for a horse that has been abused or been hurt. So, or if riding has been hurting them, they're not going to say yes. So then they're going to be in that safe haven, saying no, thinking, processing, licking and chewing. And that day that they turn around and they come out of that safe haven and following me and choosing to do this thing, then they have let go of the resistance and of the bad past experiences. And we have a clean slate. Hmm?
That's beautiful. Yes, I appreciate you describing that, and that leads to the third principle, and the third pillar is the hierarchy and the human as the leader. So I want to ask you this because this is also a little different, sometimes in some different philosophies, but sometimes oh, it's no, we're asking the horse to lead, but you are asking the horse to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a
Because I want it to
there
be the safe place.
exactly. Okay, so there really is a true hierarchy there.
Yeah,
So in a wild herd, you might be called the alpha mare or the
the lead man.
lead mare. Thank you. Okay, so there is you're the way
There is there is a hierarchy. Yes.
you're
The mom is in charge of the foal and will show the foal the way. There is a lead of the herd. And there is a stallion that protects and runs around and makes sure that there comes no predators. And there is these systems that makes the horses survive and makes them feel safe. Hmm?
yes, yeah. I think that's what the way the wild herds I've read and talked to, that's how they operate, right?
Mhm.
Although there's usually maybe a couple leaders, right? The mare.
There can be a couple of leaders. They can
y-
join each
Yep.
other. They can be best friends. Yeah.
But in this situation, you're making it very clear that
That I am the strongest one. And it's not because that horses cannot become great lead horses. They can, but we don't have a world anymore that is suited for wild horses. We have roads, we have trucks, we have all kind of dangers. So it has to be us who are in charge, and we can all achieve this. And as you say, I teach people, I teach children all over the world. I do children camps in Brazil, in the US, in Denmark. And I teach children to get the horses to follow them free, to be able to ride them with no equipment or in a codeo and have this safe connection and relationship, because it's not about sizes. It's just about how we communicate. That we get the horses to choose to follow us.
I work with
If we
children.
use muscles,
Yeah,
we lose. We lose. But if we use love and a strong connection and to be the stronger horse through our body language, then we can win any situation.
very cool. Yeah, I work with children as well. I appreciate that you do as well. You do, um,
Yeah.
and I do I'm like you said, I think you already said it's very therapeutic, and that's what I'm trying to offer. A way for kids to learn more about emotional regulation and be more confident in their own lives. So there's many benefits of what you do, and one of them, you in your website you say it opens your eyes. And so I have to ask, because you work with so many people now, what is the biggest transformation you've seen from a person like from a traditional equestrian background who now learned from you?
I have many.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Can you
I
think of
have
one? Can you just give one example, like somebody who is just
example.
full?
One example is that this year I went to Brazil. I,
That's
I I go to Brazil every year now, ever since I was there for the first time like 3 years ago. And in Brazil, there is a big horse community, a big horse culture, and they're very big in horse sports. There are many competition riders and huge equestrian centers. So big that in one big equestrian centers they can have 500 horses stalled with big indoor arenas, outdoor arenas, a lot of maintenance, and the only problem here is that there are no paddocks.
mm,
So that means that the horses in the sport world in Brazil, they are born inside a box, a stall, and they die in a stall. They never get to be with other horses in their life. They never get to run free, to do free movements. They live inside stalls, stall horses,
mm,
24 hours a day.
yeah.
And I was at a place, a beautiful place for really the elite of the elite in Brazil, like a place you have to go through several security checks to get in.
Oh,
Yeah. And because everybody was very rich and very high in the competition. And I went there to work with a horse because the lady called me to work with a horse. And she had a professional trainer there as well. And this horse was a stallion. And he has been living inside his stall for 16 years,
jeez.
not being out.
Oh, brutal.
He was very angry. And when I got him out, I said, we have to get him out in the field. They had a few fields, and I had to get him out there to work with him. And he was rearing
Mm,
and up at me, and he was big
mm.
and biting and was having this aggressive behavior. And I worked with him, and I got in there and I got to hug him. And see, when he's like that, he is miserable and he is fearful and he's frustrated. And if we meet him with fear, then it's going to get worse. So I had to find all my love and show him I'm going to be here and I'm not going to be afraid of you. And I'm going to keep touching you. And if you bite, I'm going to back you up and I'm going to still be here. And I got him to work with me. After like an hour, he would follow me in a walk and a trot, and I would ride him free in a codeo and bitless. And then I had the trainer ride him bitless. And
Wow.
he was like, wow.
Mm,
He never thought he could ride this big stallion bitless.
mm.
And he was in charge of many horses in this elite place. And before I left the stable, he bought his own bitless bridle. And now he's riding bitless.
Incredible. That's a good
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
That, yeah, and I've seen those barns where they're contained, the prisoners basically. Um,
And
uh,
he changed the lives of all the horses that was under his caretaking so that they come out every day.
that's so cool. Very cool. Yeah,
Small step.
they just don't know. That's so how can you criticize somebody that just they didn't have an experience?
Yeah.
But so a couple questions. So I got the bit list thanks to you too. Thank you. And the Cordeo, which you sell,
I have developed a bitless bridle that is so amazing.
and it's affordable. It's really
And it's
affordable.
affordable and it's just better. It's the best one that is on the market. I've used 30 years of studying and testing and figuring out how to make the best bitless bridle, and now I have. And there is no risk of making an injury with this bridle. And you can collect the horses, you can communicate with them just as well as in any bit. And there's this thick layer of memory foam that will do that, even though if you have to communicate and say, hey, stop, or use, a little hard signals for 1 second, then the memory foam will pressure release and you can never make really pain or damage on your horse. And they
So
just are amazing.
so this is kind of this is revolutionary in a lot of ways because you're saying really you don't need a bit at all.
No need.
And so I'm still arguing with people. Oh, there's some horses that need bits. There's not everyone. And so
I don't agree.
first question is what is Why is it so damaging to the horse's mouth and jaw? What's going on?
Well, I would like to, if I was with you right now, I would give you a bit in your mouth.
Yeah, right.
And
That's the end of part 1 of this incredible interview with Mia. Stay tuned for part 2 next week when we continue our conversation. Thank you for joining this episode on the Centaur Podcast. I'm Cameron Adibi again, and please check out my website to learn more about what I do at CameronAdibi.com. That's CameronAdibi.com. I hope you enjoyed this discussion and gained some valuable insights. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time for more engaging conversations. Until then, take care.